Yes, I finally got out of editing hell from New York Comic Con and all the LOD stuff and our Tech Dudes podcast that we finally got out. So it's good to actually speak instead of listening to other people speak.
Mention that podcast really quick.
The Tech Dudes podcast.
Who's on it with you?
It's me and Ken Morgan, my Legion of Dudes co-host, and Mr. Art Lewandowski, who was Ken's previous co-host on the Too Old to Grow Up podcast. So the three of us decided we're big tech heads, and we decided to get together and just do a what'll probably be twice monthly technology podcast where we just talk about tech and try and throw a little bit of a geek flair to it, to talk about things that interest us in technology. And episode 1 is up. We don't have an iTunes feed yet, but as you hear this podcast, it'll probably be up shortly. It is on the main feed.
Cool.
And it is on. Yeah, it is on the main feed.
The main feed you can find at hhwlod.com.
That's right. And we will be recording episode 2 here pretty quick. So lots of stuff to talk about. We're really excited to be doing it, and it's a lot of fun.
He lives to plug the network, doesn't he?
Yes.
Doesn't matter what you say, and you can get that at hhwlod.gov.
You can find more of Brad's insights on half-hour waits at hhwlod.com.
So you guys are to call them insights.
You can find more of Brad's ramblings at hhwlod.com.
There you go.
You can find our latest failures at.
If you want to hear names mispronounced, Mr. Bill McDonald is your guy to talk to.
Right.
Before we go any further into this strangeness that we've delved into already, we have some bloodletting ends that we need to tie up. You know what, Brad? Let's start with the iTunes reviews that have come in since our last show, please.
This came in 3 days ago from Jason732. Great job, gentlemen. It's nice to have a whole array of opinions about each episode, ranging from so-so to excellent. You guys do a great job of breaking down each episode without being too analytical about it. Nice job and keep up the good work. 4 exclamation points.
You know, I get a lot of comments like on Twitter and Facebook and stuff about how people are glad that we don't, I guess that it's not a giant love fest. And I'm happy to hear that. I mean, I'm totally not in this to, kiss AMC's fanny or be a fanboy. I think we started this because we were concerned with how they were going to handle this material because we love it so much.
Right.
And so that's what we're doing. We're chronicling how they're handling it, and it's not always a home run.
We're keeping it real.
I will go on record right now saying that I'm not going to be kissing any butt tonight.
Uh-oh.
That's what we call a tease.
Yeah, and I mean, AMC doesn't answer my emails, so I don't really care. I also want to mention that we had an
But
iTunes...
just in case they do, we love you, AMC.
Yes, please give us interviews and free stuff. We had an iTunes review last week. I think you recall it, Brad, where the reviewer mentioned that we were dry.
Yeah, I have my soundboard up and running right now.
Yeah, well, we made her feel bad. Let me rephrase that. You made
was
her
a
feel
girl?
bad. Yeah, you made her feel bad. Her name was Lisa, and she emailed back and said, just finished listening to the last episode where you read my review. I didn't mean dry as an insult, just a piece of constructive criticism. You guys do a great job. So,
Well, sorry, Lisa. I was only picking on you and just for good-natured ribbing.
yes, I told Lisa that we were just kidding around back, and it's cool, and we will try to be more wacky if possible.
John, be honest. You told her Brad was just completely insensitive and unfeeling towards other people.
Yeah, I said he was from Texas, and we are gonna we're gonna ramp it up. This is our wackiest show yet. So that's all I got. All right, so that's our iTunes reviews. Thank you very much. We love the iTunes reviews. They help us a lot. We've been on the front page of iTunes for a while, and that is really cool. It's bringing a lot of new people to the show. So thanks, everyone. And we have a voicemail. Let's do the email. Jordan, you have an email regarding last show, or it came in since last show?
I've actually got 2 that you sent me. One you probably forgot about because it was a few days ago, but I got a kick out of it, so I thought I'd read it as well. This email's from John. He says, hey guys, not sure why you played the Yodeling Veterinarian of the Alps at the end of last episode, but it's one of my favorite. I worked at Big Idea for about 10 years, and it's nice to know there's still folks out there who appreciate what we did. Zombies or not. Love your show. Keep up the great work, John. And of course, I emailed him back to say the reason we did was because, well, we found out Herschel was a veterinarian, but I'm also a big fan of Big Idea's work, so it's nice to know there's some crossover between VeggieTales and zombies. Who'd have thunk it?
VeggieTales are awesome, by the way.
They are. And they'd be even awesome if they were zombies. Our second email, the one John was referring to, was from Damon, and Damon says, hello, I just watched The Walking Dead Season 1 for the first time a week ago on Netflix and was able to watch all 6 episodes in 2 days' time. I found myself hooked just in the 5 minutes and can't get enough of it. I then watched the first 2 episodes of Season 2 on AMC over the weekend. After watching Season 1, I went to iTunes and subscribed to 2 or 3 different podcasts on The Walking Dead and found yours to be the best of all of them. Also, from listening to your show, I then found out about the comics and plan on getting them as soon as I can. I've listened to your introductory show and all the recap shows, including the Season 2 episodes 1 and 2, and plan on going back now and going through all of your past shows. Thanks for the awesome podcast and keep up the great work. Damon from Houston. And P.S. I didn't hear anyone bring up a key point from Season 2, Episode 1, What Lies Ahead. In the RV, when Andrea takes out the zombie with a screwdriver, which is awesome, that's a sidebar for me, she gets zombie blood all over her face. Are we to assume now that the zombie blood has no consequences, or will it? That is the question. And I have an answer, but I'm curious what you guys think about this one.
Well, my original first thought of that was she didn't get it in her mouth. I mean, that's all I can think of.
It's funny. I was watching The Talking Dead, and that question came up when Robert Kirkman was guesting with Chris Hardwick, and Kirkman himself said that will be addressed at some point in the future, the whole bodily fluids thing. So I'm curious as well.
And I won't spoil the book, although this has been addressed to some extent in the book, but let's go back to the original George Romero canon. And in the George Romero canon, which so far the TV show has followed pretty closely, not to say follows this for sure, but if you die, you become a zombie. Doesn't matter if you were bitten or not. If you die, everyone in the world is infected. All the bite does is kill you. It kills you a lot faster than starvation or old age would have. Bite kills you, but you're going to become a zombie no matter what. In that case, I mean, last season, sure, they were worried about getting it in their face and eyes and guts when they chopped up the zombie, but that was just them assuming and being careful. It wasn't them saying, this is for sure the rules of the show. It's just them being careful.
And one of the criticisms I've heard is, how did all of these people become zombies so fast? Like, how are these hordes so big? And that would explain it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just the number, the quote I keep saying is only 7,000 people die every day, so there's no way that many zombies would be able to come back before they were buried and start this whole thing. That's not what happened. So
We saw confirmation of that in last night's episode of the it's not being bitten that turns you into a zombie.
when did we see, I'm blanking on that. When
Let's hold that. Let's hold on to that. And
Oh, good point.
and when we get to it in the recap,
Hey, can I just throw this in really quick?
throw it, Brad.
Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
That's playing off my cell phone. I just wanted to wish you guys a happy Halloween.
Yes, happy Halloween. I did my trick or treating. I was a good dad.
Awesome. It's funny. The company I worked for, they had, because today was Halloween, so people dressed up, and there were 3 guys that all dressed up as zombie versions of another guy that works at our company.
All at the same time?
It was awesome.
That is awesome.
I did something similar to that once a few Halloweens ago. I dressed up as the chief financial officer of our company, and I won the costume contest. I won a $50 gift card. It was pretty funny because nobody liked that Joker, and I dressed up as him.
Nice.
Going back to that Halloween music, to this day, I know this is a tangent, but guess what? I'm used to tangents. To this day, I cannot watch the original Halloween movie without the sound on. I have to mute it. If I actually want to watch the movie, I have to mute it because John Carpenter's musical score is just the creepiest thing ever.
I will say the original Halloween is probably for me the scariest movie I've ever seen because it really just hits that nerve, and I think Brad hit it on the head. I think the music has a lot to do with that.
I mean, it's amazing. I can literally watch it with the sound off, but as soon as that sound comes on, I'm out. I'm done. You will not get me to watch that movie. Hey, I'll fully admit it.
we have one voicemail that came in for bloodletting. Let's get to that now.
Hi, this is James from North Carolina. Just heard your podcast on the bloodletting episode. I actually didn't get to see that one. Tried to catch the encore, fell asleep, hoping to catch another one. But from what you told in the review, it seemed like a pretty good episode. I think it was Jim that said that Sophia has to be with somebody right now. That got me thinking. So I'm thinking, what's going to happen for the rest of this maybe half season? Probably Sophia will be found hanging out with Merle. Maybe Merle will come and attack the farm with some kind of biker gang or running for Vatos or something. I'm not sure. And we're going to get some kind of siege action going on. Hopefully you guys can comment and let me know what you think on my theory. Once again, love the podcast, love the whole network, and hope it's successful. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, James. That was actually me. My theory that Sophia has to be taken by somebody. I was thinking about people that she could pop up with, and it all seems like too big of a coincidence to me. Like if Merle found her or if the Vatos found her. It seems like it would be too convenient.
I was thinking the same thing. I think it would be a little cliche or convenient for Merle to have found her. This just seems like the easy way out. But
What about Morgan? Morgan Jones.
Oh, that'd be cool.
yeah, for some reason that doesn't. Well, maybe you know what, Jordan? Maybe Merle. The hell's his name? Morgan. Maybe Morgan has been hearing Rick on the radio. Maybe he did see the note they left on the car and has been trying to find them and ran into Sophia. That might work.
Could be.
I hope somebody has her because not to get too much on this past episode, but if they go too many more days with her lost somewhere, it's really going to be. I hate to use the word implausible because it's a show about zombies, but it's really just going to not sit well with me. Let's put it that way. If she's still wandering or like holed up in a hut somewhere.
I have a feeling they find her or she shows up right at the end of this first 7-episode pod. I have a feeling that would just be a great, she shows up and reveals something major. There's a group, like I think it was James said, a group of biker gang or something's coming to attack us, or something to put the second half of the season in motion would be my guess. But, it's just speculation.
Well, thanks again, James, and thanks for listening to all the shows. And again, we love voicemails. I know a lot of people are into just leaving Twitter and Facebook comments, which are awesome too, but it's much more interesting to play voicemails than read Twitter. 516-468-7912, and the email is comments@walkingdeadtv.com.
Yeah, if you're afraid of how you sound on the phone or that you're leaving a voicemail, record a little short MP3. That way you feel more comfortable being able to clean it up or whatever. Do that. Send us an email with a voicemail text, and we'll play it that way.
If you're afraid of sounding stupid on the podcast, just listen to our show a few times, and
I was gonna say,
all of your
that's not
fears will go away.
If you have a theory about where Sophia is, you should definitely email us or send us a voicemail, because not only might it get played on the show or read on the show, you could win a very fun prize. I have in my possession volumes 1 and 2 of The Walking Dead. That's the trade, so the first 6 issues, and the 7th through 12th issue, signed by Robert Kirkman, the creator of The Walking Dead, and by Chris Hardwick, the host of Talking Dead on AMC. If you call in or write in with your theory of where Sophia is, and you're correct, and if we have multiples, of course, we'll pick a random one. If you're correct about where she is or what happened to her, whatever the case may be, you could win either volume 1 or volume 2 of the trades signed by Robert Kirkman and Chris Hardwick. So follow those links. We'll talk about at the end of the show. John just mentioned them. Comments at walkingdead.com or walkingdeadtv.com, and of course the email and the voicemail, and you could win those trades.
Sweet. So, we have a sponsor, and then we're going to get right into Save the Last One. Russ, who is sponsoring our show tonight?
Our sponsor, as always, is Discount Comic Book Service. That's dcbservice.com, where you can get tons of comics for 30, 40, 50, even sometimes 75% off of retail price. And if you hear this shortly after it comes out, you should be able to go to dcbservice.com and pick up, if you're following or wanting to follow The Walking Dead, Volume 15, which is the most current trade covering the most recent 6 issues, which will actually ship, I guess it'll be December it'll ship. It's on sale now, 40% off at $8.99 if you pre-order it. And they also have gone back to print on all of the previous volumes. You can get trade volumes 1 through 14 for all 40% off, as well as it looks like they've gone back to print on a couple of the hardcovers, some of the what they call omnibus, which are 2 hardcovers as well, and those are 30% off. So as well as the current month's Walking Dead Weekly and the most current issue of the actual Walking Dead monthly comic series. So you can get all that at dcbservice.com.
Somebody was asking me when we think or if we know when Compendium Volume 2 would come out, and I'm figuring they got to get to around to issue 100 or so.
96 is the first one's 48, right?
Yeah.
Okay, is 96 a good endpoint, or we don't know yet? I guess.
Well, it hasn't been printed yet. They're only
Right.
90.
Yeah.
I think 90 is, so we're about 6 months. So I guess trade 16 will because the first 8 trades. So the next trade will correspond with the next compendium is my guess.
Very nice. Well, I think it's time that we finally get to our recap for Save the Last One. I'm going to send it over to Mr. from Jersey to do the honors.
Well, one of our followers on Twitter, Sarah Simmons, she writes for Picktainment.com, and that's Picktainment.com, and she does really, really awesome recaps of The Walking Dead. So because she's one of our listeners, one of our Twitter followers, we're actually going to use her recap tonight to go through the episode. So Save the Last One starts with a flash forward. It starts with a very steam-filled room as someone is shaving their head with an electric razor, and we eventually see that it's Shane, and once he's done, he looks in the mirror, and it's very disconcerting. It's a super creepy look into the mirror, and then we head back into our main timeline.
This brings up an interesting question that I'll pose to you at the end of the recap because we obviously go back to that scene.
I really was still in the dark at this point. Like, why would he be shaving his head? So
Yeah.
I think we're gonna get to everything as we get to it, but I think it was a good way. I didn't see anything coming in this part of the storyline.
Yeah, there's a storyline in the comics where 2 characters who aren't even in the show yet shave their heads, but I was trying to think if there's any way it could be connected, and I was
No,
very
it's for
confusing myself.
entirely different reasons.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I don't see how this fits at all. But we definitely speculated a lot during the offseason, or at least I did, when I saw pictures of John Bernthal at Comic-Con when he was at NYCC, the shaved head. I speculated he was dead already, but it's very cool to see they gave him a story reason, which, like I said, Brad will get to later, for why he would change his hairstyle.
So at this point, watching the show, I was thinking, okay, obviously this is a fast forward because they're not going to skip and not go back to that, skip some time and not go back to that story. So this is the fast forward. Last week started with fast forward. This is our fast forward. So I started thinking, what could possibly make him want to do that? And I started thinking maybe he got zombie guts in his hair and it just wigged him out and he wanted to get rid of it. But as we'll see later, I think where they went made much, much more sense.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way you could come up with it yet. It
I
was
saw
so
a
out
lot
of
of
the blue.
feedback on Twitter message boards about people complaining that this ruined the anticipation of, is he going to die or is he not at the school? Did it bother you knowing that, well, obviously he makes it back in one more or less one piece?
I think for me it was just kind of a preconceived notion. At this point I really didn't have any worry that Shane wasn't going to make it back, just because I know that I thought Carl was pretty safe. So I don't think that really spoiled anything. One thing real quick, and Jordan, you can speak to this probably better than Brad or John can. Did you get kind of a Breaking Bad vibe out of the way they did that? With the whole foreshadow, and then we get what happened after.
Yeah, Breaking Bad starts, probably a good, 60% of its episodes with a flash forward like that?
Yeah.
I don't know that this was used as effectively as they use it because they really have it down pat, but it didn't bother me. I thought it was effective. I thought, I agree with you, Russ. There's no way Shane was going to die at the school. So this kind of it takes that question off the field of is he going to die, and it puts a completely different question that you could actually do have to wonder about, which is why is he shaving his head. If we already know he's not going to die, let's put another question out there entirely, and I think that works.
I agree.
So then we go back to our main timeline where we have Lori and Rick waiting at Carl's bedside, and Rick is telling Lori a story about the time Shane stole, what was it, the vice principal's car? Or the principal's car right in the middle of the day?
Yeah, the principal's car, drove it to a chicken farm, put bird seed in it, opened it up, let the chickens in, and ran back 3 miles before I guess anybody missed them.
Right, which I thought was pretty funny. I thought it was really good voiceover. We did have some complaints on the Facebook page complaining about this being product placement for Hyundai. Did that bother anyone else? It didn't even stick out to me in the episode.
I didn't even notice it.
I'm okay with
Did
product
they actually
placement.
say the word Hyundai in the show?
Well, they refer to it as a Hyundai coupe, and then that makes a joke of it's a chicken coupe.
Yeah, I've talked about this. I'm not sure if it was on this podcast or if it was on Legion of Dudes, but product placement really doesn't bother me as long as it's not completely in your face or very unnatural. I mean, that is something a normal person would say a Hyundai coupe, or a Hyundai, whatever, or Chevy this or that, or they would mention products. I mean, in real normal conversation, you would mention product names and you would see products. I mean, if you walk through somebody's houses, they were talking. You're going to see Coca-Cola, or you're going to see Kellogg's cereal or whatever it is. So product placement, like I said, unless they shove it out of the camera, unless they're doing it for comedic effect, doesn't bother me.
And I think the sad reality nowadays is, in the ages of DVRs, that advertisers are going to pay extra money for you to mention their products in the show. I mean, we saw it on 24 with the Sprint phones. Survivor does it now. Jeff Probst commented once, maybe on Twitter, about how people watch on DVRs now and they go past the commercials. So Sears, Craftsman, paid lots of money for them to plug their tools on the show for one of their challenges on Survivor or whatever. So I think that's something that we're only going to see more and more of, and the challenge will be for them to do it cleverly, like taking the coupe and making the Hyundai coupe and making it a chicken coupe. I didn't hear that last night. I must have missed it, but to me that's clever, and that's an excuse to say Hyundai coupe.
And it wasn't like he stole his Hyundai coupe because it has the best gas mileage. No, they just mentioned passing the conversation as a car.
Right.
Or I particularly like, and I commented this on the Facebook page, but in what was episode 1, we had the product placement of Gerber tools. I thought that was genius. That was a great use of product placement. What would these survivors want more than anything else? A set of knives. Who makes knives? Gerber. Perfect product placement. They weren't gratuitous with it. They pulled it out. You saw the logo for about 3 seconds, and then they were using these awesome knives to hack up zombies.
I want to say something about the story about the whole chicken coop and everything, but first I want to say that I think these companies are wasting their money because I don't want to buy a how the hell do you say it? Hyundai? I still can't say the damn car. I don't want to buy those knives. I have no subliminal messages taking toll on me. I don't get it, but it doesn't bother me. I guess was my point. Back to the chicken coop story. I think the important thing that we should just talk about is that Rick goes and says a number of times, I know you've heard this story, and he talks about it being legendary, and they're just really making the point that when Shane wants to do something, Shane gets it done, and that's why he was comfortable sending him on this mission, so to speak, for Carl. But it becomes, I think, a lot more important later that when Shane sets his sights on doing something, he finds a way to get it done.
It doesn't us, as the viewer, give a little more insight to the fact that Shane and Rick have been friends for a long time? Because was that explicitly mentioned previously?
No, I remember hearing in the episode thinking, I didn't realize they were friends all the way back to high school. So
yeah, I don't think we've had that information so far in the show. I also wanted to comment that I think it's also important that Rick was saying a lot of that and emphasizing Shane's ability to get things done to convince himself and Lori that he's going to be okay, that he's going to make it back, because the thought of losing Shane was just too much for him.
Losing Carl.
No, well, that too, but both.
Okay.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because if Shane doesn't come back, Carl dies. But I also don't want Shane to die, my best friend, in my whole world.
So while we're hearing this voiceover, Rick telling the story, I believe we're seeing Shane and Otis, trying to run away from the zombies, right? Doesn't it happen at the same time?
Yeah, they cut away back and forth.
That's something the show's done really well, is they'll cut back and forth from scene to scene to really give the feeling that these are happening at the same time, and I appreciate that as a viewer.
Is this the point where they're running through the halls in the school and they keep getting to the end of the hallway and there's like a chain on the door?
Yeah.
And they give that look to each other and then they turn down another hallway. Something about that made me laugh.
And to speak to that, or not to the chains, but I think it was good that they chose to do the voiceover from story A coming over for the visuals of story B, because when it was just the voiceover, when they went back at the end to Rick and Lori, it felt much more like, oh, here's Rick monologuing. It felt less real when you were looking at him talking than when you were hearing him and seeing the other events.
Plus, for me, I was almost getting bored with the house story. It's much more interesting to hear that story as it's being told while we're seeing Shane and Otis try to escape. I was dangerously close to hitting the 30-second forward button just to see where the show went last night. The good thing, the Shane Otis plotline was happening at the same time.
So eventually, the voiceover's done, and we're watching Shane and Otis, and they're trapped in the gym of the school. And what are they on top of? Are those floorboards for like changing the floor into a basketball court versus something else?
Yeah, they're bleachers. They're bleachers that fold up to the wall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you pull them out from the bottom. They're kind of like collapsible stairs, I guess. You pull them out from the bottom, and then to have people sit on them when you're done, you push in from the bottom, and they just kind of close back up inside themselves.
Okay. I thought it was a very cool set piece, though, that has them just out of the reach of all these zombies, where they have a second to catch their breath and discuss what they're going to do. And what they decide is they're going to shoot a couple of the zombies to get their attention. Otis is going to run for a locker room where he can possibly get out of a larger window because he needs a larger window. Meanwhile, Shane is going to go the opposite direction and climb through a much smaller window and drop 2 stories to the ground because there's more of a likelihood of a chance that he'll be able to make that drop than Otis. So they decide to split up. While this is all going on, we've got Daryl and Carol and Andrea in the RV. Andrea's trying to put together the gun, and she seems like she's getting much better at that, much faster anyway. Daryl is just being annoyed, and Carol is crying incessantly, so he decides, okay, I can't take this anymore. I'm going to take my crossbow, and he goes out to walk the road and look for Sophia, and Andrea volunteers to go along too.
Yeah, I thought it was funny that he couldn't get any sleep because Carol was crying and Andrew was clicking the gun parts together. 2 things quick. One, over the bed in the RV is the upside down American flag again.
Yeah, from last season.
Yeah, I don't think, was that the spot where it was last season though, or is this a
Yeah,
different
because it was right
flag?
behind Jim. That's where Jim was
Okay,
hiding.
fair enough. And there's a shot that AMC has of the bleacher scene with Shane and Otis up on top of the bleachers, and there's a big homecoming banner that says September 8th, 2009. So obviously that was
The day
planted.
before my birthday.
Excellent. So obviously that was planted because if it was really in high school, it would say 2011, etc. So does this do anything for us timeline-wise? Do we have any other dates to line this up with, or is it just kind of general?
Well, what's interesting to me is if I were to assume anything, I would assume it was September 8th, 2010, which would be a month before the series premiered and would be, about when the apocalypse would have happened. But this is a year and a month before that. So it could be an old banner.
Yeah. They wouldn't have an old banner like that up in high school.
Yeah, so that's why it seems odd.
I'm at my daughter's high school a lot with her games and whatnot, and they update that stuff every week. So.
But I mean, if it said September 8th, 2010, wouldn't that make a lot more sense?
Yes, it would have. And so part of me says, does it really matter when the story takes place?
No, it's just interesting that it's so central in the promotional images.
You know what? Honestly, I never even noticed that banner last night.
It's pretty dark and hard to see in the actual shot. But yeah, I'm looking at the same promotional image John is, and it's much easier to read in this image.
Hey, before you move on with your recap,
Sure.
let me ask you guys this: did you guys have trouble understanding what a lot of characters were saying in the first 20 minutes of the show? Did it sound muffled? Did the audio sound not crystal clear, or was it just possibly the transmission I was receiving off my dish?
I had a problem when Andrea and Daryl were outside.
I had no problems. I'm going to assume it's the latter for you, Brad, but I don't know.
I had a lot of trouble hearing what was being said in the house. So maybe it was just the acoustics in my living room. Maybe it was, I was tired and my ears weren't working or something. But I don't know. It just seemed odd to me that I was having trouble hearing things. So as long as it wasn't that way for everybody, I guess it's okay, and I won't worry about it.
So then we go over to another story. Glenn and T-Dog show up at the farmhouse in a pickup truck, and they're kind of greeted and surprised at the same time by Maggie, who's kind of sitting on a chair out front and scares them. They look at T-Dog's arm, make sure it's not a bite. They bring him inside to get worked on. And I guess that's Otis's wife or girlfriend that works on him, right? Patricia, I think.
Yeah, well,
his wife.
And we also see, Herschel saying, if Shane and Otis don't get back soon, we could still try the surgery. There's a much smaller chance it's going to work. But if we don't do anything, Carl's certainly going to die. So it's kind of a last-ditch effort.
Hey, let me ask you this: in watching the show, did we get any kind of indication as to whether or not Otis was related to Herschel and his family?
No, I don't think we know anybody's relation to anybody in that farm yet, really.
Well, we know a couple things that Maggie talks about, like stepfather, or not stepfather, stepmother, stepbrother.
And she talked about Otis being around, I think, since she was a kid, or she's known him since he was a kid. So it could be maybe he worked on the farm, or he was, obviously if Herschel's a vet, somebody would have to take care of the farm. And it almost seemed to me like that was Otis's role.
So then we go back to Andrea and Daryl in the woods for what I thought was a pretty fun scene where they're looking for Sophia. And Daryl tells a story about how he was once lost in the wilderness for 9 days when he was about that same age. And, Sophia's got an advantage because people are actually looking for her. No one was looking for him. He just had to survive on berries and wiping his behind with poison sumac, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, there's a line about Merle coming back from parole or something. Not even knowing he was gone. Yeah, he didn't even know that Daryl was gone and stuff. I like this Daryl better than the philosophical Daryl. I don't know, that part gets a little bit old for me, but I think it was Russ that said it's better than him just being the stupid redneck all the time. So
yeah,
give him depth.
Yeah, to me the racist redneck thing just wears thin. It's so one-dimensional. It's like I get it if you're just trying to set him up that way in the beginning to kind of get the tone of where he's coming from, but to give him a little more, like you said, depth and a little more characterization, I like it a lot. This whole scene with him and Andrea I thought was good on a lot of levels.
Our next scene is one I'm sure will be a very divisive one between fans, of course, and also as hosts. But this is the scene where Lori and Rick have a long discussion. Lori says, maybe Jenner back at the CDC was right. Maybe if Carl dies tonight, it's for the best. This whole horrible thing ends for him. He doesn't have to see any more of this. She doesn't like to say it, but look, this is a horrible world. It's no place for a kid. It's not going to get any better. Best case scenario, things get worse slowly instead of quickly. And maybe if he dies, it's all good. Carl has, a brief, first he kind of wakes up and talks a little bit. He talks about the deer and how pretty it was. Then he starts having a seizure. It's really traumatic and really, grabs you by the jugular. And Herschel comes in and says, he's going to have he needs another transfusion. And Rick volunteers for another one, even though it could kill Rick just as much as Carl is in jeopardy. Now,